Okay, so I wanted to give feedback. This is CFO. So at this particular conference called Accelerating Revenue in a Changed Economy. And this was a conference, the Sales Enablement Conference. And what we did is we had we made the challenge about where's the gap between strategy and execution. This was at this theme. This was the third of four conferences of when I was the research director of Forrester, third of four. And in this one is when we made the big pivot from moving from tactical stuff to strategic stuff. Um, this conference, we had the CEO, or the overarching theme we did is talking about periodic tables. The theme that we had here, this is when I was the simpletest. So I had the lab coat and everything about how to make things simple, sort of introducing the idea of simple. Simple is, simple is hard. And that theme really resonated with George, who's our CEO, and our CFO. I can picture his face. I just can't remember the name off the top of his head. This was our CFO's deck. So we had our CFO participate in several of our um, executive sessions. He actually used the hidden cost himself. So Dave, let that sink in. Like, we need to go back to the drawing board on the hidden costs. I don't think we fully understand it, and we need to carve out time with Scott and just go through it in a painstakingly way and be patient, because it's been used by CFOs. And a matter of fact, this is Mike Doyle's presentation. So here's what it is. I had this in my presentation. So he basically confirmed, yeah, revenue is my job. And then we talked about the periodic table. So here's what he's going to do. How CFOs think about sales and marketing productivity. So we don't have to speculate it. What the point of view from CFOs are is very, very fascinating. What's the dilemma? What's metrics that matter most? Moving from alchemy to science. They think they are alchemists. And then how you should partner with finance. Okay, so this is top notch. I was stunned how little this was received, because my conclusion in hindsight is people just don't understand empathy. Like, why am I listening to this? How's this going to get me to my job? How is this going to help me? Not how do I service the CFO? How do I service the CEO? How do I service our investors? So the me focus, how am I contributing? How am I contributing? You can't see what's valuable unless you tune your hat on to radio station WIIFM. What's in it for me? Meaning them, not you. Okay, so how CFOs think about sales and marketing productivity? So analyzing current financial statements and databases, client retention, new business, market share, sales and marketing costs per dollar of sales revenue. Doesn't that sound like commercial ratio, guys? Revenue per sales and marketing headcount, ROI on invested sales and marketing dollars. That also sounds like commercial ratio, doesn't it? These metrics don't tell us if we're doing the right things and are we doing them well. Now, keep in mind, this is the theme. Are you doing things right? Are you doing them well? That was the theme of how to make everything simple. So this is tied in tightly. So this is the purpose of being thoughtful and making sure you tie everything together. The current dilemma, how we look at the business from a financial standpoint, is not the best way to evaluate our sales and marketing effectiveness. So what he's highlighting is, look, I got products, I got geographies, we all have these different things. How do we look across the board here? Honestly, guys, I can't stress enough how important it is for us to learn what this means. Because the data that we're using and making decisions on against doesn't look at the cross-functional, the across different budgets viewpoint. And by parroting and all these other things just doesn't cut it. So we got to not pay attention to the quote unquote sales and marketing experts. We need to listen to CFOs. And this is what they're saying. Look, I can organize, I can get revenue, cost of sales, through product lens. I can do it through geographies. But really what I'm looking at is sales and marketing cut across the board here. So this is where commercial rate, another way commercial ratio comes from, because in this conference is when we started sales and market our gross. But the client is part of the issue too. So again, this is why calling it a commercial system is so important, and why we have to talk about it a certain way so we can bring finance along. If we only talk about it through the lens of sales and marketing alignment, we're not including finance, and finance are the ones who know that this is a big problem, and sales and marketing leaders do not know it's a big problem. The good news is that we have worked through the silo challenge before, meaning CFOs are confident that they can cut through silos. Keep in mind, CFOs are confident that they can cut through silos. Marketers are not confident that they can work through silos because they haven't done it before. Sales leaders are not confident they can cut through silos because they haven't done it before. The whole idea of bringing in the CFO is really important because they have experience cutting through silos. Revenue reengineering revolution, Six Sigma, activity-based costing. By the way, what we're talking about is activity-based costing. And a lot of these things touch what we're doing. Total cost of ownership. So today, these are the metrics that we cover. They don't work. What we need, what we need. Process business level metrics. What does that mean? That means working backwards from concrete, measurable milestones, not activity-based, action-based. Client, new business, profitability, satisfaction. These are the kinds of things that we're talking about with Pulse and Illuminate. Targeted market share. So by the kinds of things that we're doing, are we penetrating? I think this isn't even good enough. We need to be even more specific about wallet share. Total cost to deliver sales revenue. Think about that. Productivity and ROI for total sales enablement. So these are all things that I know Mike wasn't thinking before until he went through the hidden cost tool. So maybe what we need to do is we need to go and break down the hidden cost tool so we understand the details of what these things mean. I think that would be a good thing to do. Because if we understand that, we're going to understand where the CFO is coming from, and we're going to understand the value of the commercial ratio and the elegance of it. I think right now it's, unfortunately, it's too simple to really appreciate the power of why it's so great. Okay, moving from alchemy to sales why. So basically, does this look like a value engine? Yeah, there's clients, there's the macro economy, competition, your company is in the middle. So this is, and your margin pressures come from all these different factors. Slower growth means more margin pressures, changing competition, new business models, clients smarter, more demanding. This went completely over the head, and he tried really hard to make it simple. Because people want the information only the way that they want to hear it. And these are the things that we have to get over about why we have to work so hard. It's not about us understanding it. It's about whether or not our audiences understand it and making the message transferable. But understand the process that drives sales today, and what can be changed to top better. To be able to have this overall view to explain the system is a key component. And this is some of the things that we're working on. We just have to recognize, just because it doesn't exist or doesn't map to something you know, doesn't mean it's not valuable. We're solving these problems in a more concrete way, so it's more digestible and accessible to a CFO. CFOs need a framework to think about sales and marketing activities. See his word, activities. We have to get them off of activities into actions. The sales enablement framework. He loves this. You know what the sales enablement framework is? This is the hidden cost model. There are efficiency investments, management overhead, sales support. I went through, I even confirmed with him, every CFO asked me to make sure that it maps back to accounting standards, and I can. So maybe what we need to do is all learn what these buckets mean. But the spending, the understanding and the awareness of how much money is spent on sales and marketing, even though it's not in your marketing budget or in your sales budget, it's gold. This is gold to CFOs. So efficiency investments, management overhead, sales support services, demand generation, collateral and tools. If we can visualize a map of what details go into it and just recognize that putting a picture out there of what these things look like is incredibly valuable, and not worry about other things or whether we understand it or not, it's irrelevant. What we have to do is recognize of how do we make this stuff accessible to CFOs. The more we do that, the more successful we're going to be. Because once I have that construct, we can make it relatable to marketing. We can make it relatable to sales. But the goal is let's make it relatable to CFOs, and this is how they think. Development investments. So this is development of your people, management overhead, right? Training and education costs. So these are buckets. Then there's variable costs. So he loves the variable costs that, I've got commissions, incentives, T&E, and reporting. And then base costs are, this is what we get for every sales head count. We need a business partner to navigate this effectively. Hear this? Navigate this effectively. Isn't that orchestration? Yes, it is orchestration. So here's our tips on how to partner with friends. We may be the Iowa couple, but it can work. And he showed the video of GoDaddy. He said, "This is sales and marketing, and this is me." It's so funny. Partnering with finance. What we know can do. What you know and can do. So basically, what he's saying is, let's take the best of, which is, I can't stress enough, guys, why we have to get way better of highlighting what we're good at. So we can make lists like that of what we know can and what we can do, so we can blend it. He's literally going through chocolate and peanut butter, Reese's peanut butter cups in this list. We know what investors, board, and CEOs want. So in other words, what you should do is shut the fuck up and listen to us, right? You know what our markets and clients should do. So we should shut the fuck up and listen to you. Learn how to have this dialogue back and forth, because this is a yin and yang. We know what financial statements are like. Sales and marketing activities help bridge the gap. These gaps, these translation things are really, really important. You must be disciplined so that you can do apples to apples comparisons between these two worlds. We know we provide objectivity, and we do resource allocation. In other words, we're the referee, and we can help you get money. You should know what the strategy is of how we're going to unlock it. How many people have a clear strategy that maps to resource allocation? Hello, strategy translation, resource allocation, target enablement, growth yield. That's the format. Go to customer strategy. We need to spend a lot more time understanding that so we can connect to how CFOs fit. We need to align both sides for optimal business results. Amen. It's not about sales and marketing alignment. It's about alignment with finance. And we have this. We just need to lean into it and be way more empathetic on the CFO side. So start with your CFO and lay out your objectives. How many people know how to speak in an objective way and have concrete measurable things? I know how to do that. We need to model that out and follow that process. You need a finance resource to help you navigate. This is so true. The resistance of our clients to go talk to CFOs is one thing. We can't have it. We have to be really comfortable talking with CFOs. Use the sales enablement template, this thing. The hidden costs. He loves that. He uses it. You will be allocating some amount of time. Perfect is the enemy of good in this exercise. So, case in point to the back and forth that you've seen on the commercial ratio, and the debate that people have. Perfect is the enemy of good. This isn't about perfect. So allocate items, make estimates, just document what your estimates are. That's discipline, so that you can say, well, I made this estimate here, and then the CFO will appreciate that perfect is the enemy of good. It can't be perfect. It can't be perfect. We have to pound this in our heads about this exercise and set people's expectations. The reasons he's setting this up is even people on his own team. When I interviewed him and other CFOs, by the way, only about 20% of their team can do this analysis. It's not finance, it's a select few. Build your case. Choose your timing. In other words, don't go and meet them at quarter. Like, be smart. We are not pleased at the end of the quarter. Really, really bad at year end. So don't do that shit. So, like, come on. Like, we're gonna be dicks here because it's like super, super bad. So don't do it. Hit them at the beginning of the quarter, like the second week of the quarter is when you bring this stuff up. These are all knowable things that people don't do because they don't have any effing empathy. So I hopefully this is helpful. I added some other comments in here. It's late. I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. So let me share the two birds with one stone. One is I'm highlighting things that we need to do more of. I need help. When I highlight, we need to bring this up more. I need you to bring it up. I need you to be curious because I can't keep lecturing on stuff. I need help to bridge these gaps. And hopefully you can hear the CEO feedback, the CFO feedback. They're frustrated as hell. People aren't working to bridge the gaps either. Let's practice that by helping me make the vision more clear. Let's practice this by actually forcing ourselves to figure out what an experience is and communicate it. Let's have fun with it, because if we can do it, we're going to be valuable to these people. All right, thanks, and hope you have a great evening.